Dear Radiant Leo, you are about to be rewarded with something powerful, but not everyone is going to celebrate your success. In fact, some are already uncomfortable watching you rise. That's the deeper message this video brings to light. And if you found yourself here, on this very video, at this very moment, it is not a coincidence. Because when the universe speaks, it doesn't shout. It whispers. And for those who are tuned in, those whose souls are ready like yours, that whisper is loud enough to change everything. Let me ask you something bold. Are you ready for big money to finally arrive, not just as income, but as a sacred reward? Are you ready to step into a new level of your life where your light is no longer dimmed by fear or shaped by the comfort of others? This is not just another horoscope reading. This is a message from the divine flow of energy, aligned with your higher timeline. And the truth is, Leo, your time has come. The efforts you've made, the prayers you've whispered into the dark, the discipline you've carried even when no one was clapping for you, it's all about to be seen. To be honored. To be paid in full. But with every rise, there comes a ripple. And this rise, your rise, has begun to shake the energy around you. You may already feel it. Maybe someone has distanced themselves without explanation. Maybe you've sensed silent tension from those who once cheered for you. That's not your imagination. That's resonance. As your frequency increases, it exposes what cannot rise with you. So before we go further, I invite you to affirm your alignment with this message in the comments below. Just write, "I am ready to receive what is mine." This isn't about superstition. It's about anchoring your readiness in both word and energy. And while you're here, let me take a moment to thank you from the depths of my heart. Every time you like a video, leave a comment, or subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, you're not just helping a channel. You're expanding a movement. A sacred circle of souls who believe in divine timing, authentic healing, and cosmic truth. Your presence here is felt, honored, and loved. So stay with me until the end of this reading, because what the cards are about to reveal may shift the entire way you look at your journey. And trust me, dear Leo, you'll want to hear every word. Now let me ask you again, not as a narrator, but as someone who's walked this path too, what called you here today? Was it a quiet nudge in your spirit? A line in the title that lit up something inside of you? Or maybe, just maybe, it's your soul's way of confirming that the storm is finally passing, and the golden gates are opening. You don't need permission to shine. You don't need approval to succeed. What's coming is already yours. And anyone who can't handle that truth was never meant to come with you into this next chapter. Let's dive into what the universe is revealing now. Because the most beautiful part of your story is just beginning. There's a certain stillness that follows the moment we realize our waiting has not been in vain. And dear Leo, this is that moment. The season of receiving has arrived, but not with fanfare or dramatic displays. It has crept in like the first gold leaf of autumn, quiet yet undeniable. The energy of the Ace of Pentacles is not loud. It does not boast. It grounds. It whispers through subtle shifts, the unexpected phone call, the proposal that comes after months of silence, the delayed return finally moving toward you. That's how abundance works when it's earned, not chased. It circles back with a reverence for the person you've become while you waited. The Ace of Pentacles, in its truest form, is not just about money. It's the embodiment of inner alignment materializing outward results. When this energy appears, it reflects a sacred meeting point where spiritual intention and physical consistency converge. In numerology, the number 1 is not just a beginning. It is creation itself. It is the seed. But seeds do not sprout because they are wished into life. They flourish because they are tended to, again and again, even when the soil appears unchanged. And this is what you've done, Leo. Even in silence. Even in doubt. You stayed. You showed up. And now, the ground beneath you has begun to break open, not as a collapse, but as an emergence. What you may be feeling now is a vibrational confirmation of that effort. That sudden urge to declutter your space. The tension leaving your shoulders without warning. The feeling that something is about to happen without knowing what. That's not anxiety, it's your nervous system responding to energetic expansion. The universe is matching your internal shift with external opportunity. But remember, what comes to you is only as stable as the root system you've built inside. That's why your financial blessings are not just coming. They are growing. And growth, as you know, is never random. It is sacred cause and effect. This is why we speak of harvest. You are not a beggar at the gate of fate. You are the one who tilled the soil, watered it with intention, and shielded it from the storms of impulsivity. And now, finally, that soil your daily actions, your discernment, your patience is returning what you planted. This is the law of attraction, not as a wish but as a mirror. Money, opportunity, stability theory, not rewards for who you're pretending to be. They are reflections of who you've become. In ancient teachings, there is a lesson that speaks of the one who gathers water, drop by drop. Though slow, they never stop. And one day, the jar becomes full not from rushing, but from consistency. That is what this moment is asking of you, to honor how far you've come by managing what's about to arrive. Don't spend from emotion. Don't overextend to prove your worth. Let gold become a mirror of your peace, not a mask for your doubt. If you're wondering what you can do to align more deeply with this moment, start here. Write down 3 income streams you want to activate. Not for fantasy's sake, but to signal clarity to your subconscious. Clarity is a magnet. When you name your channels, you awaken them. And more than that, you take authority over your financial flow, not as a desperate seeker, but as a conscious co-creator. And if you find yourself drawn to the color gold during this time, whether in clothing, candles, or sunlight, know that this is no accident. Gold vibrates at a frequency of royalty, of inner wealth. Let it remind you of the radiance that has always lived inside you, even when the world did not yet reflect it. The seeds you once buried in silence are now ready to bloom in the light. And what blooms next is not just abundance, it is proof that nothing you gave from the heart was ever wasted. Sometimes, Leo, the light you carry becomes so brilliant that it can no longer be ignored. Not by the world, not by those around you, and especially not by those who quietly hoped you would never rise. As you begin to receive the rewards of your patience, your healing, and your silent determination, something else begins to surface too. The unspoken truths in others. The discomfort they feel in the presence of your growth. The flicker of envy in the corners of familiar smiles. There's a paradox that lives in every radiant soul. The more you shine, the more you illuminate what others would rather keep hidden. That is not your fault. It is simply what light does. In energy work, we often speak of resonance, how a higher frequency can stir, even agitate, a lower one. This isn't judgment. It's physics. When your energy expands, it disturbs what is stagnant. And not everyone will know how to meet that shift with grace. You may have already seen ethos who once stood beside you now standing slightly back. The way a friend's voice tightens when you share good news. The subtle withdrawal of someone who used to cheer for you. It's painful. Not because of what they've done, but because of what it reflects, that parts of your life you thought were safe were actually conditional. Their support was quiet while you struggled, and now their silence is loud as you rise. But hear this clearly, your success is not the cause of their discomfort. It is merely the mirror. You did not ask for envy. You did not orchestrate resentment. And yet, they appear like shadows drawn by fire. In ancient thought, it is said that when one begins to ascend the mountain, loose stones inevitably fall. Not to hurt, but to clear the path. Those who fall away were never meant to stand beside you at the summit. And that, while heartbreaking, is also a kind of grace. There is a form of emotional healing I often return to in these moments, simple, quiet, and profoundly effective. Write a letter. Not to send, not to prove a point, but to release the weight. Say everything that lives in your chest. The betrayal. The sorrow. Even the anger. Say it without filter. Let it flow. And when you're done, burn it, bury it, or tear it up. Because that pain has lived inside you long enough. And if you continue to carry it, you begin to resist the very abundance you're trying to receive. This is where the law of attraction becomes more than a concept. It becomes a practice of clearing. You cannot manifest while you're holding on to what contradicts your worth. If you believe you're not seen, you will block being celebrated. If you cling to bitterness, you will block blessing. It's not punishment, it's misalignment. The stream of well-being cannot reach hands that are still clenched in old grief. And so I offer you this gentle, powerful affirmation. Whisper it until you believe it. I do not need approval to shine. I am meant to prosper. There is no need to prove yourself to those who cannot love you without competing with you. Let your growth be quiet, sacred, and unwavering. Let it be enough that you are proud of who you're becoming. And let your light be an invitation not for validation, but for peace. You are not responsible for how others receive your transformation. You are only responsible for continuing to grow anyway. Because the truth is, Leo, your light has only just begun to warm the world. Keep rising. Let them watch. Let them wonder. But do not let them stop you. After moments of internal growth, especially those earned in silence, there comes a phase that reminds you this journey was never meant to be walked alone. Not entirely. And Leo, as your energy rises and your field expands, it calls in more than just opportunity. It calls in people. Mirrors. Reflections of something deeper. The appearance of someone new or the re-emergence of someone familiar often marks the soul's readiness for deeper recognition. We tend to think of connection as random, but from an energetic view, it is a response. A resonance. When you reach a certain vibrational threshold, life begins to respond with alignments that feel impossible to explain, yet undeniably meant. The Two of Cups, while often seen as romantic, reaches far beyond the limited idea of love as possession or title. It speaks of meeting not just between two people, but between two parts of your own experience. It reflects the arrival of a person who not only sees you, but remembers you, even if they've never met you before. Sometimes, they arrive softly, through shared purpose or timing. Other times, they crash into your life like a sudden breeze that knocks over everything you thought was settled. But one thing is certain, their presence doesn't simply fill a gap, it awakens a part of you that had been waiting to rise. And it's in this kind of connection, deep, anchoring, sometimes wordless, that you begin to see yourself through a new lens. Not because they complete you, but because their energy activates something you've long carried in quiet strength. These soul-aligned bonds challenge and stretch us, not through conflict, but through reflection. They come not to rescue, but to reveal. Like a hidden spring beneath dry soil, their presence makes way for new growth, not because they bring the water, but because your roots are finally ready to receive it. There's a quiet teaching from the East that speaks of the noble friend, not the one who merely agrees with you, but the one whose presence calls forth your highest discipline and inner truth. These are the ones who help you see clearly, speak honestly, and remember who you are when the world tries to make you forget. It's rare. But when that kind of connection arrives, even briefly, it changes the shape of your path. This is the season where such a presence may enter or deepen in your life. But only if you're willing to let it. The question isn't just who is entering, but who are you allowing yourself to be around them? Do they lift you, or do they drain you? Do they reflect clarity or add to confusion? If you're unsure, start small. Each morning, take a moment to name 3 people in your life whose energy helps you grow. Not for judgment, but for awareness. Over time, you'll begin to sense which connections anchor you and which are keeping you from deeper alignment. Allow the heart to be part of your discernment. Let softness be strength. Wearing or meditating with the color turquoise or soft green during this time may help you access compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. These tones correspond to the heart's gentle wisdom, and they invite you to move through connection with both openness and boundaries. Above all, remember this: the right people don't just appear. They are summoned by the clarity of your presence. So if someone has entered or re-entered your life, look at who you were when they arrived. Often, that will tell you why. And if no one has arrived just yet, trust the space you're keeping. For what is meant to meet you will never miss you. And when it does come, it won't feel like rescue. It will feel like recognition. Just as the tides shift without warning and a single breeze can change the direction of flame, life often delivers its most meaningful messages through the subtle and the unexpected. After all the internal realignments you've undergone, Leo, it's only natural that the external world begins to mirror that evolution. This is the nature of energetic reciprocity, as within, so without. The Page of Cups enters here not simply as a messenger, but as a gentle reminder that life still holds surprises, ones that arrive not with thunder, but with tenderness. And often, it's the quietest invitations that carry the most transformative power. The essence of this energy is playfulness laced with profound shift. It's the soft knock on the door when you least expect company, the email that begins with, "just thinking of you," but ends with an opportunity that opens your future. It could be a message from someone you had long let go of, resurfacing not to repeat the past, but to reflect your growth. Or it could be a completely new voice, one that seems insignificant at first, but whose timing is uncanny, arriving at the precise moment your heart is open enough to receive it. In astrological language, this is mutable water. Fluid. Emotional. Responsive. It does not demand attention, but it alters the emotional temperature of the space it enters. That's what makes it so powerful. And that's why it requires your presence, your receptivity, your discernment. You're not being asked to act out of impulse, but to stay awakito, notice what others might miss. Sometimes a message isn't just in the words written or spoken, but in the feeling it stirs deep within you. A stirring that's not rooted in fear or nostalgia, but in quiet resonance. Something inside you just knows. There's a contemplative practice that teaches, when a sudden thought arises and lingers for no apparent reason, do not ignore it. Even if it seems trivial. Even if it defies logic. That lingering is a signpost not from outside forces, but from your own deeper knowing, attempting to rise above the noise of routine. In this way, intuition is not a supernatural gift, it's a quiet muscle, strengthened through presence and softened resistance. And the Page of Cups arrives exactly when that muscle is ready to stretch. So I invite you to ask yourself, honestly, if something beautiful, unplanned, and slightly out of the ordinary appeared in your life tomorrow, a call, a message, an offer, would you be open enough to receive it? Not analyze it, not control it, but simply receive? This is not a trick of fate. It's an invitation to trust the ripples that move toward you as a response to the vibration you're now emitting. Keep your senses open, but more importantly, keep your heart flexible. Check your messages, yes. Follow up on leads, of course. But also check in with your instincts. Scan for the subtle. Listen to what repeats. If a name keeps returning to your mind, if a door appears slightly ajar, don't overlook it because it didn't come with a spotlight. The universe rarely uses billboards when a whisper will do. And as you navigate this space of open-ended possibility, hold this simple affirmation close. I welcome the unexpected gifts that are already finding their way to me. In truth, not every twist in the path is a detour. Some are divine shortcuts. But we only recognize them if we are still enough to notice when the air shifts, when the tone of the day changes, when the current carries us towards something we didn't ask for but deeply needed. Stay open, Leo. What's arriving may not look like what you planned, but it will feel like something you've been waiting for. When everything begins to shift at once, your thoughts, your body, your relationships, your surroundings, it's tempting to wonder if something is wrong. But in truth, Leo, what you may be experiencing is not chaos. It's clarity in motion. A quiet revolution, long overdue, beginning from within. This is what we call a quantum leap, not because it happens quickly, but because it unfolds in ways that can't be tracked by logic alone. You're no longer moving step by step in a straight line. You're stepping through layers of resistance, old beliefs, and outdated attachments all at once. And because of that, nothing feels the same anymore. The pain you've carried, the misunderstandings that lingered longer than they should have, the sense of loss that clung even when you tried to release it, all of that was not for nothing. In astrology, when Leo begins to release the karmic knots that once kept your fire dimmed or scattered, a new cycle begins. One where your energy is no longer borrowed by other people's stories. One where your radiance is no longer filtered through guilt or performance. This is what astrologers refer to as exiting the pressure of the South Node, a release of habitual patterns you were never meant to hold forever. And now, what unfolds is your return to sovereignty. The phase where you no longer just shine, you embody light from the inside out. Queen of Pentacles appears here not as a symbol of wealth alone, but as a reflection of integrated wholeness. She governs from groundedness, not grandeur. Her richness is not just what she owns, but how she offers care first to herself, then to others. She reminds you that true abundance is not measured in urgency or display. It is measured in how steadily you can hold your values when no one is watching. And this is where your evolution leads next, not to louder victories, but to quieter strength. To a life that matches your inner alignment, not one that demands you perform for validation. In practice, this shift may feel like stillness. It may call you to slow down, not because you are stuck, but because you are being invited to inhabit your life with more presence. Start small. A cup of warm water each morning, not just to hydrate, but to signal your body that it's safe now. A few stretches, slow breaths, just to reintroduce your spirit to your skin. These acts are not trivial. They are thresholds. And when you meet them with intention, your body begins to remember that it is not just a vessel, it is an ally. Financially, this is not the time for quick gains or risky leaps. It's a time to build with patience. To grow what lasts. Let your money reflect your values, not your fears. Choose investments of time, energy, or currency that feel like planting, not gambling. True wealth is not just stored in numbers, it lives in the peace you carry when you go to sleep at night, knowing you're not out of alignment to achieve more. In love, allow yourself to be honest, but without agenda. Speak clearly, but not from urgency. Let go of the need to be understood instantly. What matters now is not proving your heart, but living from it, even if it takes time for others to meet you there. The most intimate connection you can build right now is the one between your words and your truth. The color pearl white, in this phase, becomes more than aesthetic. It serves as a symbolic purifier, softening old attachments and helping to reset your energetic field. It carries the frequency of rebirth, not dramatic, but cellular. Not loud, but permanent. What you're stepping into, Leo, is not just a better version of what you had. It's a new blueprint. A new rhythm. You are no longer chasing timelines, you are creating them. And in that, everything becomes possible. When the spotlight finally returns to where it has always belonged in you, Leo, you don't need to explain your radiance. You don't have to shrink to make anyone else feel comfortable. You don't have to apologize for dreaming big or loving yourself enough to walk away from what no longer serves your soul. This journey you've just walked through, filled with pain, awakenings, healing, and now abundance, was never random. It was divine training. You've been shaped in fire so you could rise like gold. What you're stepping into is not just success, it's sacred victory. But remember, not everyone will clap. Some will question your blessings. Some will resent your growth. And that's okay. Their discomfort is not your burden to carry. You weren't born to be understood, you were born to lead, to shine, and to awaken others by simply living in your truth. So the next time you sense envy or resistance, bless them. Then turn your gaze forward and keep rising. Because your reward isn't just about money, it's about legacy, alignment, and fulfilling your divine purpose. And now, I want to ask you something from the depths of my soul. Can you allow yourself to fully receive what you've prayed for? Can you truly believe that the gates of heaven are opening for you, not just for others? Can you trust that all the closed doors were just divine redirection to this exact moment? If your heart says yes, comment below. I am ready for my destiny. Speak it. Declare it. Let it echo through every cell of your being. And if this message touched you, I invite you to subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness for more spiritual guidance, weekly energy updates, and divine downloads. There is a community here, one that celebrates your wins, honors your healing, and believes in your future. Don't walk this path alone. Share this video with someone you care about, someone who may be struggling to believe that their breakthrough is coming. Be the light in their tunnel, as this message was for you. Because right now, as you take this in, the universe is clapping for you. Angels are singing. Heaven is opening. And yes, you are finally being seen, not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to be. You are the light. You are the roar. And you no longer need permission to shine.